computer. Okay. So can everyone see my screen? Yes? Yes? Cool. All right. Well, so when you guys are doing your workshop, one of the things that you want to do is you want to, again, have a title page. So this is me just, how to use Spark AR. So again, these workshops are not going to be too long, but just these are things that you want to kind of do ahead of time. So again, you don't need to have this particular slide ready for you guys, but I just have this here just so you want to welcome everybody to the digital workshop. You want to thank them for their time. You want to introduce yourself. So, everyone, you can say Madison, you're a graduating master's student. You're going to be looking for jobs in public affairs, or Natalie, you were interested in sports and social media positions. You might want to talk a little bit about your experience, kind of introducing yourself in a virtual capacity. Doesn't have to be long. You can have actually an introduction slide if that is easier, so people can see maybe a picture of you, a headshot, get a little bit of information. But what you want to do as well is if this is again totally fine with with you guys too. If you want to have all of your participants in the session to mute their videos or mute your microphones during the presentation, if you feel that would be easier, because I know, in this kind of setting, it might be you have like 6 or 7 people looking at you and might be distracting, but it might be also helpful. So either way, if that is something that you want to do, you could basically say, I would like you guys to mute your microphones and mute your videos for the duration of this workshop. And that might also help you guys too with your recording for your workshop. So that's just one thing to keep in mind here. So that's a total option. And then what we could do is we could do a Q&A. If you have a question, there is a chat section on Zoom on your right-hand side. So that is something, if a question comes up during the presentation, you might be like, oh, wow, I forgot to ask Madison this. Oh, wow, I forgot to ask Chelsea this about Zoom or, this resource. So that is something to kind of keep in mind. So sound good? Yeah? Cool. All right, we'll get started. So thank you everyone for coming to this workshop on how to use Spark AR. So we have a lot to cover in this workshop. So here's the agenda. Side note, it might be good to have an agenda, kind of the main topics that you're going to be covering for your workshop, just to kind of show audience members what they're expecting in this workshop and kind of your deliverables. So you don't need to have that many. You can have 4 or 5. That would be good. It's a nice outline for your presentation. So we are going to be talking about the discussion on augmented reality, specifically where it's at, how important it is in society, what are the differences between AR and VR. We're going to talk a little bit about exactly what Spark AR is, and then also the benefits and challenges of this new platform, and then showcase some examples while illustrating, introducing the platform itself. So that, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. So what exactly is AR? So augmented reality is a technology that superimposes a computer-generated image on a user's view of the real world, thus providing a composite view. So essentially, it is a technology that allows you to put in virtual elements into the physical world. So you are able to do filters, you're able to put virtual elements out into the workplace. So this is an example of a warehouse with these additional points of information overlaying the actual image. So AR sometimes gets confused with VR, which is virtual reality. Virtual reality is where you involve yourself into a virtual space. So that's where Oculus Rift comes into play. But AR is, again, something that you can easily do and create on your phone. So mixed reality is when you're using both augmented reality and virtual reality. So I think it's important to kind of go over that. So side note here for you guys in terms of your virtual workshops, if there's any terms that you feel need to be explained or elaborate a little bit more, this might be a good time to kind of do that. So Chelsea, with your particular session, looking at virtual conference calls, Zoom, you might want to have like an overview slide talking about each of the different tools. So that's something to keep in mind. So what is Spark AR? So Spark AR is an augmented reality platform for Mac and Windows. that allows you to create AR effects on mobile cameras. So this was launched last year, and it just opened in November 2019 to everybody, all creators, to be able to create AR elements for Facebook and Instagram. Because one of the things that people are seeing is that AR is becoming more commonly used. There's tons of possibilities for partnerships and advertising, but it's also allowing creators to market themselves in a new way. So Spark AR is a platform that is owned by Facebook. And a few years ago, Facebook acquired Oculus, the gaming virtual reality platform. So they've been really trying to compete with other similar social media platforms like Snapchat in the AR space. So this was a move for them to compete in that space. So when you think of social media platforms, they're all over the place and kind of compete with each other like Game of Thrones. But you're able to create various AR filters here through Instagram and for Facebook. It's not just the Instagram trivia questions that you get, you see on Instagram stories, but there's a lot of other features as well. And it's a free platform that you're able to download as well. So I would encourage you guys to explore this, kind of look at this a little bit more detailed. But there's a lot of challenges and benefits to Spark AR. So there's a lot of benefits in terms of new interactive features. It's entertaining and creative, and there's huge sponsorship opportunities here. So this is a space that not many brands have really jumped into. For paid sponsored AR features, there's been a few, but it's still early in the game. And you're able to also collect new particular metrics that could be part of your sponsorship packages, your paid media, et cetera. So there are a lot of new possibilities here that could be utilized in the AR space, especially with Facebook and Instagram. However, there's a lot of challenges here. And so side note for you guys, if you are talking about any of the challenges, then this might be particularly important for you, Chelsea, when you're talking about the different video conferencing tools. You want to kind of highlight the pros and cons, because in most cases, you guys in social media and really in communications, you're going to have to weigh in, like, what are the pros and cons of going one direction versus another. So it might be good as you're evaluating and showcasing these tools and resources for people that you show the pros and cons. So there's a lot of challenges in using Spark AR. I'm not going to lie. There's a big learning curve. The platform and tool itself, unless you have experience with coding or specifically Adobe Creative Cloud, it looks very similar to some of the Creative Suite platforms, but it takes a lot of practice. So you guys know I am not a graphic designer. I could draw a stick figure. I am very grateful for things like PowerPoint because my handwriting is terrible, but that's the other thing to keep in mind. It takes practice in creating these various tools, but there is a long turnaround time, like everything, like with ads and other sponsored components that Facebook and Instagram go over. There's a long period of time of getting these filters approved. And I actually will share with you guys another challenge that just happened this week. Because of the coronavirus, Facebook has actually said, we're not approving new filters right now because we're all at home and we're not able to do that. So that's another challenge here. But it's still important for us to be able to mock up and create new AR filters that can help us learn the different aspects of how to really kind of push the envelope in our creativity. So I would encourage you guys to kind of download the platform, kind of check it out. There's a ton of resources, tons of tutorials here, and I have a couple resources at the end to kind of share with you. So how many of you guys did the Disney character one? Yeah. So this was, of course, very popular, went viral, especially after Zelda Williams, who is the daughter of Robin Williams. She, participated and got the genie. So this was definitely a popular filter that people used on Instagram late last year. So you had, of course, various celebrities that, of course, participated. But again, Instagram filters are just one aspect of the capabilities that you're able to have. There's going to be several other types that I will be sharing with you guys on how Spark AR can create various augmented reality components. So Pepsi also had virtual elements of AR featured in the space. So they didn't really have any Instagram filters like Disney did. So this was part of their campaign about catching rays. So they were able to utilize this through Instagram stories. So all of these features are focused on, being implemented in Instagram or Facebook stories. I don't know about you guys. I don't know how many people are using Facebook stories, but hey, go figure. So this is what happened, so The Verge just reported just a few days ago that Instagram won't approve new augmented reality effects because of the coronavirus. So that's kind of a bummer. That is a big challenge for us, but I think once we get things more normalized, we'll um, be able to work with this. So there's still a lot of possibilities. You can still create mock-ups. You can still create really cool creative content. So that might be something too that you might want to even propose to the Kentucky Derby Festival before, we get back and things normalize a little bit. So steps to the Spark AR. So you can actually download the program. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to see if I can actually open up this guy. So this is Spark AR. And you see, you can just hit the download, button, and it allows you to do that. But this is a great website here just to kind of give you some inspiration. There's a whole learning capabilities. So learn Spark AR. So if you're like me that you have to self teach yourself, they have all sorts of tutorials here, which is really cool. But and I have all of these linked up in the PowerPoint. So I have that. So what you want to do is download the program. So again, it's Windows and Mac compatible. And then what you want to do is decide what filter or what AR element you want to create. So you can completely do like a blank project, but you can do face decoration if you want to do something face-wise. And I know we talked a little bit last week about fashion, right? For the new changes that we're seeing with with the Kentucky Derby. So you can actually create like a whole head decoration or neck decoration if you want to do like ties or bow ties, et cetera. You can do a world object. So that what you want to do here is when you get set up and download the platform, you want to decide what type of project you're going to go for. But keep in mind, whenever you are using a new tool like this, it always has to come back to the strategy. You don't want to do things just for the sake of doing things on social, AR, VR, mixed, any type of technology. It has to be aligned with strategy. So if you guys are looking at gaining awareness about what we're doing for the Kentucky Derby Festival in light of, it being postponed, kind of in more summer, fall kind of atmosphere, it has to be aligned back to what you're doing. So this is, again, a lot of people miss the boat here when they're not tying this back to strategy. But then you want to start creating. So I took a screenshot here of kind of the dashboard. So what you can see here is it looks very similar in some cases to an Adobe Creative Cloud platform, whether it's Illustrator, Photoshop, Premiere. So you have your scenes, you have the various components here. So I actually took a screenshot of a world object. I thought it'd be kind of cool to put my book out there for the world. So this is basically what I'm able to do. But what I wanted to highlight here is you can test your image and object through your mobile device. So if you feel like, okay, I have an iPhone 10, but if I want to do something a little bit different, I can do that. So I'll open up the platform so I can kind of show you what that looks like so you can kind of test out the different formats. So there's a lot here, and you might be thinking, okay, Dr. Freberg, this is a lot. What are we going to do? Have no fear. I have resources here. So one thing, total side note, what I would like you guys to do in your workshop is to leave with a slide at the end before you end your presentation with a list of resources. Because it's always better to be generous with your resources, because if you're doing a presentation, like for example, with a group of professionals, you want to continue that relationship. You want to kind of build that momentum. So people are like, oh, I want to go to Chelsea, I want to learn more about video conferencing. I want to bring her back, and this might be a paid opportunity. I want to continue this relationship. So the more resources you can give to allow people to kind of walk away with more than what they expected, the better. So I have 5 links here. So I have and these are for you guys too. There's a whole guide from later.org that's really good about how to utilize Spark AR. So I have a little homework for you guys. You can make your own filter. Spark AR does have a Facebook community, so you see a lot of people sharing their filters and kind of, self-mentorship. So that's the screen that I have here on the right-hand side. So great, resource right there in community. Spark AR has a blog, and then of course there's tutorials on how to use that. So those are the resources that I have, and so I'm going to stop sharing at the moment, and